Have you ever wondered why you get angry so easily? Have you ever wondered why you feel like you can't trust anyone? Have you ever said to yourself, I'm not loved, nobody loves me, I'm all alone, I feel overwhelmed, I'm trapped, I'll always be alone. No one really wants or needs me. Maybe you even said something like, I'm stupid, I'm just so stupid. Do you say these things to yourself? These things are actually a clue as to how to bring further healing to our woundedness. The rest of this talk, I'm going to quickly go over the seven deadly sins, but this is not going to be a talk about judgment. This is going to be a talk about identification of where we are bound up, where we need deliverance, where we need to go and look at so that we can be free from a stronghold that the enemy has placed on our lives that is not giving us the kind of freedom that we need in Christ so that we can bring true healing. And anybody that's gone through a traumatic event, anybody that's gone through any kind of abuse, anybody that's gone through any kind of neglect, most probably has had some kind of bondage through strongholds, through a lie proposed by the enemy that is presented. It is then agreed upon. Right there, free will has now given agreement and permission for the enemy to have a stronghold in this place, a foothold. And the Bible does talk about strongholds. And because of this, then a judgment is made about another person. And based on that judgment, we start manifesting distress symptoms, which keep us pointed away from what the real root issue is. And if we don't get to that root issue, this will never go away. It'll only get worse. And all of the seven deadly sins are associated with this in different manifesting ways, all of which can help point you back to what the root is, which is why I'm going to kind of go through these very quickly using one of these charts that I've developed. Let's look very quickly at the seven deadly sins. There's pride, envy, greed, gluttony, sloth, anger, and lust. Let's start with pride. For every seven deadly sin, there's an idolatry of something. And so if you're manifesting or living out in a sinful way, if you're having an issue with sloth, if you're having an issue with gluttony, if you're having an issue with excessive anger, if you have lust issues, if you have envy issues, if you have pride issues, it is because you've made a false god of something. This is turning away from God and in towards the self. And so an idolatry of something is created. When we make an idolatry of something, there is a hiding and protecting of the root wound, but we also will have maybe bodily symptoms that will be trying to reveal to us what is really the issue. We will have these distress symptoms that I was talking to you about. There will be inner vows that we will make to create that stronghold. And of course, an identity lie about what we believe about ourselves and a judgment about the other person, all keeping us locked up in this place. For the sin of pride, the idolatry is of self, and it can manifest through pride of intellect, pride of scruples, pride of superiority, pride of vanity, pride of ambition, or pride in authority. So if you have issues using scruples all the time, trying to think through everything, even not even why God could forgive you, that is a very sneaky way of pride hiding itself. Pride of intellect. If you're someone that likes to assert how much you know about everything and you know more than anybody else does on a subject, that is a form of pride, and and it is one. It is the idolatry. Excuse me. It is really an idolatry of self. The root wound of pride is shame. There's a difference between shame and guilt. Shame is I am bad. Guilt is I did something bad. Guilt is a good thing. Shame typically is not, unless it's we're talking about a good and holy shame, which is a whole nother video talk. But shame in terms of I am bad usually manifests through a loss of purity, through abuse, neglect, a rupture within the person that takes place where your actual identity in who you are, made in the image and likeness of God, is completely and totally lost. There is a lie that's proposed by the enemy as he tries to gain a foothold or stronghold in this area. And the lie is that you have to prove your value and that your worth is based on what other people think of you. I am bad, I'm dirty, it's my fault, I'm not important and no one will help me. These are some of the lies that we have told ourselves if this is an issue, if pride is an issue, and the root wound again is shame. Inner vows, this stronghold. I must prove myself. My value is what I make of it, my accomplishments, my merits, or my success and my reputation. I'm stupid. That can be some of the inner vows that are made. It can manifest in many different ways. One of the distress symptoms is lying, exaggeration, selfishness, addictions linked to lack of affirmation, which creates this insecurity. Somatic or bodily symptoms. A number of times, if it was with abuse, it'll manifest in feeling very sick in your stomach. And a lot of times it can manifest in the head area if it has to do with in the intellect. Opposite virtue is humility. Um, no, you cannot overcome, but God can. Jesus was publicly contemned and humiliated. And so when we contemplate the gift of virtue of humility, it helps us to overcome that. But also, I would want to say, understanding who you are in the image and likeness of God, male and female, He created you, theology of the body, and also entering into the mystery of who God the Father is, your creator, that out of all of the countless potential souls He could have created, He chose you. He knew what He was getting when He made you, and He did it anyways, because He is, after all, God. And that you are no mistake, because God doesn't make mistakes. You're no surprise to God. And knowing that Jesus is the lover, He's the bridegroom, and you are His bride, knowing that we're all called to intimate union and communion, and that He communicates and heals and gives, infuses grace in and through our spirit to our soul. Those are some of the ways in which shame can be overcome when we see our inherent goodness. So this is part 1 of 7. The next part will be on envy.